Ukrainian President Zelensky turned 45 on Wednesday and got one of his biggest birthday wishes when President Biden announced that the United States would send 31 M1 Abrams tanks to help with the fight. Dozens more Leopard tanks will come from Germany and other allies. Ukraine had long been pleading for such heavy weapons from the West. And this breakthrough came after what seemed to be a game of chicken between the United States and Germany to see who would offer their tanks first. Let's talk about the war and much more with today's terrific global panel. Anne-Marie Slaughter is the former director of policy planning at the State Department and joins us from Princeton. She is the president of New America. Carl Bildt is a former prime minister of Sweden and joins us from Stockholm. And Kishore Mahbubani is a former top Singaporean diplomat and joins us from Singapore. Anne-Marie, what do you make of this, particularly the German decision?
Well, the German decision is extraordinary in just historical terms because, once again, German tanks, Panzers to most of the Russians and the Europeans, will be fighting Russia. They will not be rolling into Russia, or at least we certainly hope not. So the kind of historical significance is enormous. Really, though, what's most important about this decision is political. It is signaling to Putin, no, we are not going to split. We're going to maintain cohesion and we're going to amp up. So we're not scared of your threats of escalation. That's a more important signal right now than the actual military advantage. It's going to take months for the Ukrainians to get them and to be able to use them. Longer term, it will help Ukraine defend and actually advance against Russia, but that's going to take quite a while. So for now, it's really a very important political signal that NATO is holding together.
But Carl, if it is an important political signal, does it break the stalemate that seems to have developed on the ground? There is no major advances on either side. Will this change that?
Over time it might, but as Anne-Marie said, that's going to take quite some time. I think the immediate significance is primarily the political. And I think it was very important that there were US tanks as well. I think that is, in terms of political signal, even more important than the German tanks. There might be 100 Leopards, which militarily is significant, but the fact that there are some Abrams is also significant. Then it's going to take some months at best to make sort of effective fighting units out of this. And that will make it more possible for the Ukrainians first to resist the new Russian offensive that is going to come at some point in time, and then perhaps to be able to reconquer or take back some of the territory that Russia is trying to steal from them.
Kishore, do you think that this play pushes Russia in a direction where it is more likely to negotiate? So far, President Putin has not seemed particularly willing to negotiate.
Well, clearly, the war has to be condemned. Russia's invasion has to be condemned. But I think Russia is also aware that 85% of the world's population has not imposed sanctions on Russia. And if you look at it functionally, in terms of Russia's links with the rest of the world, they haven't been that badly damaged by the war. So I don't think the supply of additional weapons is going to change everything. At the end of the day, it has to be a political compromise. And I think the vast majority of the world would like to see some kind of political compromise to end the war, because the war is damaging all of us too.
What do you say to that, Anne-Marie? Is there a compromise to be had? In other words, some kind of deal where, let's say, Crimea is given to the Russians, and in return for that, Russia recognizes most of Ukraine. I mean, diplomats can work out the formula, but the question is that kind of political deal the only way to end this war?
I see no sign of that. I mean, yes, we can all outline different possible deals, but in fact, the Ukrainian position has hardened and expanded. I mean, wanting now really total victory, wanting not just the Donbass back, but also Crimea. And I see no face-saving way for Putin to climb down. Certainly the stalemate militarily means both sides can stick to their demands. The more that doing things like sending tanks helps Putin with his domestic audience, because his view is this is a NATO proxy war against Russia. So the more NATO does, the stronger he gets. So I don't see the actual psychological political conditions more, or the military ones, that make any kind of deal likely for the foreseeable future.
Carl, where does this go? It does sound like, I think Kishore is right, that the Russians, Putin seems to have settled down for a long war and essentially destroying Ukrainian civilian infrastructure, hoping to effectively defeat the Ukrainian nation rather than the army.
Well, I think that's correct. I mean, Putin has tied his entire political future to the success of getting rid of Ukraine, which is what he wants to do, sort of restore a greater Russian empire that was there in the past. That he sees as his destiny. He talks about the life and the death struggle. And there is no sign of him backing down, and there is no sign of the Ukrainians to surrender.